Tanya, you disagree with age gap relationships.
Any 30-year-old looking to have a relationship with a 19-year-old, that's just weird.
Why?
Yeah. Because she's super young and you just want to take advantage of her, really, because she
Why?
has no life experiences to conduct herself in that relationship if you're doing something wrong to her. She just think it's normal.
Her brain isn't done developing. Why do you want her? That's weird.
She's like a little kid still.
You mean she's okay, so should 18-year-old women not be allowed to vote?
I mean, if they weren't allowed, then why is that a law? When you're 18, you're able to vote.
Well, why is it a law that the age of consent is 18? So they can have a consensual relationship.
30-year-olds have more experience, obviously, in the dating world than 19-year-olds. Like that, me, for example, when I did a 20-year-old, I shouldn't really when I was 17 because I didn't have life experiences or anything to like say, oh, this is wrong what he's doing to me.
Talking about adult relationships here.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Like a 19-year-old wouldn't know how to be with an adult like that.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like she'd be too young. She wouldn't know how to conduct herself, really.
You said take advantage of. I mean,
like of her mindset because she doesn't know yet.
You don't think a 20-year-old could take advantage of another 20-year-old? So I guess, what's your position, kind of?
My position is it seems that man wants an apprentice. He doesn't want an equal or a partner.
Do women want equals to be equal?
Yes.
You just heard a table full of women saying they don't want to pay for first dates, they don't want to take any initiative, they don't want to...
Just the first date.
Okay, sure.
After that, they can go 50-50 in the relationship. Sure. Like just the first.
Let's hear from the other people. Emily, what's your objection to age gap relationships?
Did I put like a little swivel on that one?
Maybe you underlined it. I mean,
yeah, I think just like within reasonable range.
Okay,
like,
30 to 19.
Yeah, no, I think like too much of a discrepancy in maturity level makes that an issue. But there are some really mature, like 20-year-olds. You know, people are mothers at that young age. They've experienced different levels of life than maybe another 20-year-old. So it just depends on.
Does it give you the ick?
A little. It depends on how they met, I guess. If it's kind of like it seems like they're preying or grooming them, then yeah, that's a problem. But
in what way would they be preying? Like, what does that mean to pray?
Like, waiting until they turn 18 or 19 or a reasonable
Let's assume
age.
they met when this woman was already an adult. So there's not like
if it's genuine connection, genuine experience, getting to know each other, then yeah, sure.
Okay. And then you disagreed. Why do you disagree on this?
I was with someone that was 12 years older for 9 years, but... Yeah, to each of their own. Like Jay-Z, Beyonce are 12 years apart. It works sometimes. Now,
do you want to just scoot into the table maybe permanently so you can be on the microphone? And
yeah,
I don't have to remind you for the 30th time, but okay.
Yeah, 19 I think is a little young for someone being 30-something.
Okay, all right. It gives you the ick?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can you guys actually make a compelling argument why it's wrong?
I did.
I mean, I think because her brain isn't done developing. Yeah. I think obviously he's choosing someone who's a lot younger and more inexperienced and has also just come out of high school. So, ew. Like, you as a 30-year-old man, why are you dating someone who just came out of a high school? Like, is that,
you can't get better? Like,
well, I mean, you don't want someone who's going to challenge you. You don't want someone
what would be better?
No, I don't want somebody to challenge
just mature.
Me.
Mature?
Yeah, just more mature.
What do you mean more mature?
Mentally more mature. Once you want to date, if you're 30 years old, why won't you date a woman that's actually like mentally mature than a girl that's 19, not a woman who is unmentally immature?
Well, she is.
I met some 19-year-olds who are pretty damn mentally mature.
I mean, when going to like my situation, I was 17. I wasn't mature yet, and I let him take full advantage of me. And I thought it was perfectly fine.
How old was he when?
20.
When you met?
Yeah, he was 20 and I was 17. 2 months before I turned 18. And
yeah, but I mean, if he was 18,
wait, there's 2 months before you turned
18.
How long did you date him?
Since 2018. And I broke up with him this year.
What? Wait, is this the...
Yeah, the same guy.
6-year
I've only
guy?
been in 1 year, not 1 year, one serious relationship.
So wait, 2 months into the relationship, you were 18, and then he was still 20?
Mm-hmm.
That's not much of an age gap.
No, it's not. But
I don't
he
know
was
what the
he was
laws
more
are in
mature though than I
California.
was, obviously, because he had been through more relationships, and I haven't. So
Would it be that weird though for an 18-year-old to be dating a 20? I don't
No,
think
it's not.
that's weird.
Or a 22
No, it's
or
not.
a 21-year-old in this case. So it was like 18 to 21.
I'm not
That's
saying
like-
the man was more
that's
mature than
that's
I
almost
was.
a
It's a
non-existent.
5-year
I don't even
range.
think we would consider that an
Fine.
age gap.
Well,
I
an
think
age gap
it's like-
relationship.
I'm just talking about
5 years
maturity
is
levels.
fine. 10 years is like,
Yeah, 10 years is a little bit too much. 5 years is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I was immature at 17, so I can imagine like a 19-year-old not being that mature compared to a 30-year-old. Does that make sense, or am I wrong? Or you think a 19-year-old has the same maturity levels as a 30-year-old man?
Well, I'm not sure that people are looking for relationships based around the various maturity levels. Like, I think that people have piqued very different interests, and I see men who are 30 with very immature women who are 35, and I see women who are 30 with very immature
Okay,
men
well, it could work both
who are
ways.
25, right? So the thing is like, I'm not sure that you can just say, well, you're an adult, and because of this, we're just going to make this kind of like bracket where even though you're an adult, we're just going to assume that you're too stupid to make the decision as to who you want to date. That just kind of seems absurd to me.
would you be okay if it was your daughter? One of them?
Would you be so I wouldn't be okay with my daughter dating anybody ever, and no father ever is. So it doesn't really matter if there was an age gap or not. All fathers hate all boys who date their daughters, so I'm not really sure how that's particularly relatable. I wouldn't care if she was with or dating a guy 20 years older, I would hate him, or if she was dating a guy who was around her same age, I would hate that guy too. So
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Really quick, I guess, on this. I guess even kind of granting your guys' positions that maybe it's like icky or whatever, predatory or whatever it's take advantage of, whatever. If you were trying to like convince men to date women their age, like aside from like if you have to put away like the shaming and that sort of stuff, can you actually like make an argument for like why, like what are the benefits of dating an older woman?
She has her shit together, and you don't have to really like provide for her like you would do for like a younger person who doesn't have their stuff together.
When you're 30, if you're still single, is the guy gonna have to provide for you?
No, because she should already be able to provide
Does
for
a guy
herself.
need to really?
Yeah, I hope when I'm 30 I'm able to provide for myself and not have to rely on a man.
Okay.
yeah, but if it's a provider argument, then this one's. I guess the counter to that I would give would be, I think, yes, you would have to provide for the 18-year-old or 19-year-old or even 20-year-old if you're a man in their 30s, but they would have significantly less baggage. And so it might actually be more inexpensive to provide for that person with less baggage than the woman in her 30s with more baggage. Might be far less expensive. She might, for instance, the accrual of debt that a woman would have in her 30s versus at 18, 19, you would have to admit the chances are going to be way higher that she's accrued a lot of debt by the time she's 30.
That is true. So
Yeah.
for financial reasons.
I'm not sure that like the financial argument is the best one. I think you're right that the woman would be able to provide a better standard of life for herself, perhaps, but that doesn't mean that she would necessarily be less expensive for the man.
That is true.
Yeah.
Like I look for a
I don't
provider.
know if Brian walked out or not. So.
Yeah, like I look for a provider, but I also know like I would like to be a provider myself too. I'm not relying solely on the man to take care of me 24/7.
Yeah, but I mean, would you be opposed to it?
No, I wouldn't either. If it comes natural, it comes natural.
So
but
you wouldn't be opposed to it either. So the idea here is that I think there's also 18, 19, 20-year-old girls who would like to be provided for as well. And I think that the type of men who can provide for them are generally going to be established and probably in their 30s. So here, I can give you a good idea of this. Women's reproductive years, generally, they're like prime reproductive years, somewhere around 18 years old to, let's say, 26, 27, right? It's kind of the prime. It's not that they can't have babies past that. They can. We're just saying it's easier on their bodies. The labor is less intense. The babies are generally a bit healthier.
And they're able to bounce back faster.
Yeah. You bounce back from it faster because you're younger, right? Your body can take it and heal quicker. If that is the case, if a woman is expected to have babies in those years, it seems reasonable to me that a woman would expect to be provided for in those years. And younger men are going to have a harder time doing that than men in their 30s, for instance. So wouldn't it make sense if women sexually selected for men in their 30s if they wanted to have children?
Yeah. I see your point of view there.
I mean, that makes total sense to me.
It does.
It's like, okay, now your reproductive years you're taking care of. Men around my own age bracket can't do that, but you can. That actually makes sense to me.
That does as well to me.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I guess, I guess there's really no argument there. Chairwoman, what do you think? You were giving me that look, like you were giving me the look. Come on, what is it?
Well, I mean, it was over the argument about debt. I mean, in the state of California, when you marry someone, you don't accrue their debt. You only accrue, half the amount of their debt that you accrued during the marriage. Believe me, I know this. So I just didn't really see that as a valid argument, as like, oh, you should.
Wait, their credit, you would still have to deal with it, right? So you're still gonna have to deal with whatever their credit is. You're gonna have to deal with if they have debt. I think it's reasonable inside of marriages. Generally, debt is shared, even if technically the law says it's not, like in the state of California in this instance. I think that most people put away for their retirement together. If you're putting away for the retirement together, why wouldn't you be sharing the debt? I mean, that does seem to be the case, that most people share debt, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not what I experienced personally, so...
yeah, but I mean, if you had another husband tomorrow, let's say, and you had $50,000 in debt and he had $25,000 in debt, wouldn't you guys probably work to pay each other's debt off?
I mean, yeah, that would be a priority.
Yeah, that would be exactly. So, I mean, it makes sense to me that if you had more debt in your 30s, that wouldn't necessarily make you more financially viable to a man who could financially support you than if you were younger. Just because you are in a position where you can make money doesn't mean you don't come with a lot of accrued debt.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.